The Tony Farina Report is brought to you by West Her Automotive. West Her cares. And Batavia Downs Gaming and Hotel off exit 48 in the New York State Thruway. BataviaDownsGaming.com.
Welcome back to The Big Picture. Some of the families of the victims of the shooting are seeking legal action. Reporter Tony Farina has more.
Well, hello and welcome to the show today, and we're joined by very noted and prominent Buffalo criminal defense attorney Terry Connors, one of the best lawyers in New York State every year, and certainly one of the top lawyers in the country. Terry, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tony.
Glad to have you.
Good to be with
you.
you.
I know you're involved now in the follow-up to this terrible tragedy at the Top supermarket on Jefferson Avenue, and you represent some of the families of the 10 victims who were killed in that rampage. And how many families are you involved with now, Terry, and what's going on?
Well, it's an ongoing process, Tony. We're interviewing a number of families, but right now it's not exactly set how many we're going to represent, but it's several of them. We'll be helping them.
And your focus will be on identifying what steps you would take here to represent their interests, presumably in some sort of lawsuit or legal action.
Well, Tony, when we sit down with these families, we want to find out what their goals are. And they're remarkable people. I can't tell you, how solid, how Buffalo, how important they are to the community. And so we ask them, what do you want to accomplish? And the pain is deep, it's palpable, but the anger is there also. And they want us to do what we can to try to prevent this from happening again. So we're going to look at all the options that are available. We're going to look at lobbying to change laws. We're going to look at litigation options. We're going to try to look at the entire gamut so that we can honor the legacy of their family members that died.
I suppose one of the things they're looking for too, Terry, is the cause for this sort of thing. What triggered this terrible tragedy? And I know you're getting an investigation. I mean, we all know that how do you prevent something like this from happening? And everybody would like the answer to that question.
Well, the only way you can affect some type of improvements in that area is to go to the root cause. We all know who the shooter is and what happened. We all know what a monster he is. But you have to look back chronologically and find out, where did this start? Where did this begin? And then you try to make changes. The system failed. I mean, we had some laws in place, we had some mental health evaluations in place, and obviously they failed. So we're going to take a look at those and see where those holes can be patched.
And you talked about the system failed. Well, there were signs that this young man was a problem. I mean, he had done some things, made some comments, and actually talked about killing people, and he decapitated a cat. I mean, there were certainly a lot of triggers here that would have signaled that something's wrong with this guy.
And that's just the public information, Tony. We're doing a deep dive on it as well. We've got investigators out checking background, trying to find out more information that's not public. And we're going to begin there. We're going to get to the root cause and see what we can do, because that's how you affect some change.
Now, I know you represent, correct me if I'm wrong, Ruth Whitfield, the son of, or the mother of Garnell Whitfield, former Buffalo Fire Commissioner, retired Buffalo Fire Commissioner. She was killed. She was among the 10 victims of this tragedy, and you represent her family, the family.
Tony, I knew Garnell basically as a fire commissioner, the first African American to become a fire commissioner, to rise to that position. But I didn't know him personally. Now I know him well. He is a man of tremendous substance. But it's not just Garnell. Every one of his siblings and the family members that I met are just terrific people. They're important people to the community, but they're committed, they're determined, and they're gonna follow this track till the end and do the best they can. You know what it reminds me of? Their family reminds me of some of the remarkable families I represented in Flight 3407. And look at the changes that they made.
Well, hopefully, maybe something good can come of this tragedy, and maybe some laws can be affected and changed, or something done to try to improve the chances of preventing such violence in the future. I know it's almost impossible, but you got to continue to work towards that goal.
New York has some good legislation, and some laws were enacted after that successful case that we handled in the Appellate Division 4th Department. And They're important. They can be improved. They'll be focused and scrutinized by our legislatures. But it's also about the implementation. It's about how you put them into practice. That's what has to be remedied as well. So it's a twofold attack on this problem. And we have to maintain a steady attack on this problem. 198 mass shootings in the United States this year. That's just staggering. As Barack Obama said, he's just tired of standing up in front of cameras and saying we have to do something. The time for talk is done. The time for action is now.
Now, you've been a lawyer for a long time. You've represented some very well-known clients. You've had tremendous legal career. But I know you're, like all top lawyers, you get very much involved with your clients. You're there morning, noon, and night. And in this particular case, it's got to be even more difficult because they're suffering from such pain. How is it for you to deal with all that?
You know, in my first year of law school, Tony, one of the professors said that you have to remain objective. You can't get too close to your clients. I have found that to be absolutely false. You have to get close to them to feel their pain. You have to walk in their shoes if you're going to advocate for them. You can't step back and say objectively, this is what the law says. You've got to, that's how changes are made. I have friendships that go back 30 and 40 years from people that I've represented, and they're the strongest friendships I have. So I think these families will be great friends with us. Hopefully we can achieve their goals, and we'll fight for them and advocate for them. And we've got a great team. We've got a strong team that got even stronger with some of the agencies like the Brady Group and others wanting to participate. A lot of people want to see changes, Tony. A lot of people think it's time to happen. You know what else happened? I get calls from people who are Second Amendment supporters, people who are strong in favor of guns, and they say the same thing to me. We don't want guns in the hands of people that are going to do this. We're not opposed to restrictions. We want it to be the proper restriction, the balance between the Second Amendment and the right to be.
Difficult balance, as we've seen, to strike.
It's been very difficult.
Yeah, and of course, this is an unfortunate result of something that went wrong here. And this young man, who appeared to have some very strong signals that he was a dangerous person, somehow was able to get these guns, and I know that's going to be part of your case.
Yeah, what's he doing with an AR-15? What's he doing with a magazine that fires 60 rounds or 70 rounds a minute? Why would they have those type of weapons? We'll find out.
You'll find out. And of course, you have your own investigation with the other attorneys involved, and also the feds and the state are also investigating, so there's a lot going on here. And I suppose you'll be in some way coordinating a little bit with those other investigations.
Well, the federal and state investigations are primarily criminal investigations of the shooter, of the monster, as they call him, I think appropriately. But there's an ability to share information as well. We have the ability to get some information that perhaps they can't quite get. And they have, likewise, all of the resources.
So will that happen, do you think?
We'll reach out. We'll reach out and we'll be available. We have some very good friends in law enforcement. And, of course, Attorney General James has indicated she's going to look at the digital platforms very closely, and we are going to do that also. So it's bound to happen, Tony, that we'll collaborate and we'll share information and hopefully benefit our clients.
Terry Connors, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be with you and to hear your take on the law. As one of the best lawyers in New York State, that's for sure. For a long time, by the way.
Not long enough.
You're still going to keep going, huh?
I am.
Okay, Terry, thank you very much.
I appreciate it.